See here. Are we live? I think we're live now. Aha! Well, hello everyone, and welcome to HoDiGa's Tarot. And this is quite a special week. As you know, we've all been gallivanting and traveling around the world and doing our bits and bobs. Lady G is where are you, Lady G, today? You said you're amongst the pines somewhere. Could you say again?
Yes, I am. I'm up here in not too far from Albuquerque, but I'm up in the mountains and enjoying this mountain state park. And then tomorrow, I think I'm here one more day after this, and then I'm gonna go to Blue Lake, I think.
Oh wow! Oh, that's great. And Dianne, of course, you have just returned from your Bridgerton ball and all that kind of stuff. So what can you tell us about your Bridgerton ball? How did it go?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun to stay in that old mansion, and everybody was dressed to the nines with those sort of outfits, and we had the dance lessons, and they had a band that played that sort of music from the 18 teens. Wow. And the food was wonderful. No worries about being a vegetarian or whatever. They took care of all that. Right. And we had like a nice tea party, and they had croquet on the lawn before, and they went all out. It was fantastic.
Wow, that sounds remarkable. And as you guys, as the both of you probably know, I've been sort of gallivanting around Europe. I was in Portugal, then I was in Sicily for a while. Like I must say, ladies, and anyone that is not only people that love the food but are into spirituality and energy work and stuff like that, Sicily is remarkable. The energies are just off the chart. And today I'm coming to you live from Rome. So literally this is my little hotel room. Look, there's a mini fresco on the ceiling, and I've got my friend Dan who's crashing in the back. He's going to fly back to London. There's a lot of pollution here, but the food, of course, is fantastic. And I went to the catacombs.
You did.
Wow.
Went to the catacombs, but I went to this church of the Capuchins where they make all these chapels and altars out of bones. What I'll do is actually, have you heard of this?
Yes.
Let me just show you this, and we will start the show soon, guys. But I mean, we've got lots to discuss. This is not a usual HoDiGa. Do you know what I mean? We're all in different places. So, and forgive if you hear some shouting and noise. It's just the Romans. Now look at this. Look at this postcard. Now, what you're looking at, folks, can you see?
Yeah.
Those are all bones. Oh. Look. That's how they decorate the chapel. Just to remind people, just in case you weren't sure that you were going to die at some point, look at that. Have you ever seen anything that macabre? So doing all that stuff, and then soon I'll fly out to Bologna, be having some wonderful food and stuff there, and then Turin, be staying with friends, and then there's going to be Eurovision in Turin, so it's going to be lots and lots to come. So before we start, let's just do a few shout outs for whoever's here. Everyone's starting to pile in, and let's see who we have. We have got Blue Moon Rising, Mythos Streams. We've got Christina Electra Storm, Caroline Marquez, Shannon Donnelly, Mark McKenzie. Hello, Mark. Good to see you here. Patricia Franzino, Christopher Guala, Janice Packard, and so many more, Jennifer Bays, etc. And of course, as usual, we'll try and read out more names and stuff as they come. So, ladies, are you ready to start the show?
Absolutely.
All right. So,
yes.
As usual, the ladies don't know what I'm going to ask, even though I did write up in part of the description earlier, but the ladies wouldn't have seen that. So here, this is a question that came in from Barbara Gregg. And this was about a week or so ago. And obviously the world news keeps moving, but she asked, and I thought it was a good question, will Trump and his family flee the USA for a life in the Middle East? This just gives it just a slightly different flavor, doesn't it? And we'll do the usual because Dianne, you're normally ready the quickest, and then Lady G and I'll go last.
Right?
Trying to say I'm slow.
No, not at all. No, not at all. A lady is allowed to take her time, of course. And it's great because, you know, obviously you had quite a lot of cards as well. And what is this? What's this wonderful hat that you're wearing, Lady G? I mean, this is really something.
Thank you. This is one that I decorated. I had it made, handmade hat, and then I decorated. And of course, I've got my hawk feathers on it because that's my totem. But yeah, I decorated. I painted it and did all the work on it.
Wow, my goodness. You know, I think Lady G, you're becoming quite the style icon, wouldn't you say, Dianne?
Absolutely. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. I don't know about that, but thank you.
So Trump.
So looking at my cards, he may want to flee, but I don't think he's getting too far. So you know, the first two cards, you know, they're both legal cards. So, you know, he gets the Judgment card with the obstacle card being the King of Swords. So he may want to, but legally, I think he's being watched. I think there's going to be rulings. They're going to be keeping an eye on him. You know, they may even say, oh gosh, could you imagine if he had one of those electronic ankle bracelets or something? But you know what I mean? Like, that's the direction this is heading in. And literally 6 of Swords reversed.
Ooh.
So here he is trying to get to smoother waters, trying to go, but it's not happening. He tries to make the plans, 2 of Wands. He's looking out at the globe like, oh, where can I go next? And then, you know, our old friend comes back with him. You know, like, which is just so typical. And, you know, when you look at yeses and nos in cards, I mean, to me, this is always a no card. You know, it's a card of simpleness and greed, but also being chained down like these 2 characters. And so I think he wants to. I think the desire's there. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Right. Right. Yes. Yeah, he probably really does want to escape. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, in the center of it, I have our, you know, our rules, our laws, our things of that sort. What we have new things kind of starting to come up, energy starting to move. It's going to kind of whack him. Okay, these things are starting to come up. Above it, we have, yes, he's thinking about it, where he could go, how much can his money do, how can he manipulate this? As usual, it's always about him manipulation. But the foundation is that the hammer's coming down. They're looking at all of his wealth, where he got it, and, you know, the information is coming out. So I think it's, you know, the court cases and all of that stuff are just going to start hammering him. And no, he's not going to get to go anywhere. I don't think he's got the money to live in Dubai either.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
You know, I lived there for 6 months, and they don't play there.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you're right. And I almost feel like really his window of opportunity kind of passed, you know, some time ago, sort of like energetically. There was a time where he maybe potentially could have done it and then sort of disappeared and gone through them trying to extradite him, and eventually people giving up. But I feel that window kind of went. But so it's quite interesting, the cards that I've got here. So I've got the Chariot card. Oh, sorry, forgive the lighting. It's a little bit bright. Let me just see. Anyway, it's the Chariot card. You guys can see here. And of course, the Chariot card usually is all about what? The energy of moving forward, you know, trying to, you know, moving forward at speed under one's own power. So it's quite relevant that the Chariot card has come up in the context of this question here. But look at the obstacle. The obstacle card here is the Fool.
Right.
So quite literally, you know, it's, you know, we can take this literally, you know, Trump has been foolish in terms of, it's almost like he had his window of opportunity to make his escape, but he was foolish about it, has dithered around and has spent too much kind of ego and kind of like wanted, you know, parading on the stage when he could have just quietly got out of town. Imagine if he did. Next card we get here is the Knight of Cups. So of course that can mean what, the insincere offer. It's almost like, it was almost like he obviously, because his ego is so huge, he couldn't have just taken the loss and then just got out of there and just never be heard of again. Do you know what I mean? It's like he had to keep coming back. He's like, I've still got something to offer. He's still in love with his audience, time to seduce his base and stuff like that. When really it was time to get out of town. But look what comes next. We have the Tower. Tower moment here.
Right.
Now, interesting, out of 5 cards, he's got 3 major arcana that have turned up. So, you know, I mean, and this obviously speaks of his foundations being shaken, etc. It's taken longer than most people would like to happen, but I was saying in one of my solo videos that Trump is born under a couple of lucky stars. So this is why he's been Teflon Don for so long. But look what I get as the outcome card. I get the Wands card as well.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? So 2 of Wands. So he's weighing things up. He's looking at stuff, trying to see what his options are. But he knows these. It's like a Tower moment in slow motion.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like in slow motion. But eventually it will come. I know a lot of people are like, when is Trump going to face? I think many of us have not really maybe perhaps seen Trump behind bars, so to speak. But I think there will be that fall from grace.
Right.
But really, if you think of a character like Trump, he doesn't want to do time in jail. I think he will plead that he's either insane or, you know, whatever. But what are your thoughts on that? Any extra thoughts on that, ladies?
Well, when you pull the other one, the Knight, false Knight, I think he, you know, would try, but there's nothing he's got to offer anybody anymore. They wouldn't want him there because he's got nothing to give.
Indeed. Indeed. So we see what Shakespeare has to say about Trump, about Duck L'Orange and the family. All right. So who wants to be the one to tell me to call to stop this time?
Ian.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Okay. So I'm closing my eyes. So you just tell me where to stop, and then we'll see what the bard has to say about Trump and his family.
Stop.
Okay. Oh, this is so interesting. This came up before, and I'll read the other part. So in my last video, Shakespeare said, I was searching for a fool when I found you. How interesting that I picked the Fool card for him as well.
Yes.
And that's from As You Like It. And then on the other page, it says, he's winding up the watch of his wit. By and by, it will strike. Isn't that interesting as well? And that's from the Tempest. So I'll repeat that again. He's winding up the watch of his wit. By and by, it will strike. I mean, that does also describe as well those 2 aspects, isn't it? Trump being foolish, but then him winding up his wits, because that's what he does. He always makes sure he uses a burner phone. Someone else takes the rap. Do you know what I mean? He's got that cunning in the back of his mind. I find that quite interesting.
I just think he's going to wind it too tight, and that spring is going to get sprung.
Indeed.
Wind it that white.
Indeed. Indeed. You know, even he has to run out of road eventually. So let's do a few more shout outs. So what's it called? Oh, look, Juno has given us a little joke here. So she said, at HoDiGa's Astrology, did you find anything humorous there? You know, when I was talking about the bones?
Love it.
And also as well, we've got Energy Alchemist Tarot who's saying hello to everyone here. And then we'll also scoot down as well and see who else we've got. Mythos Dreams, which I think I mentioned. Julie Johnson, Smurf Mum Florida, Suzanne Shakan, Light Vocation. Hello, Light Vocation. I've got more questions coming up. Marty D and more. Okay, so let me just click on and click off so we can remove that little thing there. Okay, ready for the next question?
Absolutely.
All right, so this one, where am I here? Now, this will make you chuckle. Do you remember the last couple of HoDiGa's when we read on Boris Johnson? And do you remember a couple of times I pulled the Tower card for him, and I think you Dianne and Lady G, I think you may have pulled the Tower for him as well. Well, as you've been seeing, he's not been having a great time. Yeah, right. There's been Partygate, there's been this, that, and the other. He's been trying to distract the world by, you know, going to Ukraine and then going to India, thinking it would all pass. Guess what? We've recently had the May elections in the UK for councils. It's not the general election, but it can give an idea of where the weather's going. And we knew it would be a bit choppy for the Tories. Now, I was expecting them to lose maybe 300 seats or so, because there's like 700 seats in the country, and I thought they might lose about 300. Turns out they've lost almost 500 seats.
Wow.
500. And you know, democracy is alive and well here, because, you know, the Brits, you know, we're very, it's like the swan, still on the surface, feet going underneath like this, but the stuff with the parties and stuff really hurt people, really galled people, and they've had an absolute mauling at the elections. They managed to lose Wandsworth, which is a borough in London, which has remained Tory for the last 40 years. Wow. Gone. Wow. Yeah. And the Liberal Democrats and the Green Party have done well. Boris should have resigned ages ago, but what I wanted to ask is what's the future of Boris as Prime Minister after these huge losses?
Okay.
So he's full on Tower. I mean, we're talking the Tower is crumbling, on fire, crashing and burning, the whole shebang. What's going on with Boris Johnson? What's his future after these losses? I get the sense probably not good.
Okay. So interesting. I mean, because for me, this is a pretty cold read. You know, I certainly don't know a lot about what's going on. But the first card I get's the High Priestess. He has his hidden agendas and secret motives and, you know, working behind the scenes to do his thing. But his obstacle is the Seven of Cups. He's not grounded. He's disillusioned. You know, the things inside of these cups aren't real. So he's trying to come up, Seven of Pentacles, with a strategy, with a new plan. But it doesn't seem to be going well. And I'm just wondering, because the next two cards would implicate that there's a legal issue coming up for him, where he gets both the Hierophant and the Page of Swords. Because Page of Swords is my card for a legal battle. Hierophant is, you know, very official. He may actually be in a bit more trouble than just losing seats, you know. And it winds up that, you know, he gets the Three of Cups reversed. I mean, it's great when it's upright, but I think he's already had the upright. He's had the parties and the celebrations and the good times with friends. Now he's experiencing the reverse. And so I think he's sort of in for some pretty rough times ahead. Things that could land him in a courtroom situation, possibly.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, in the center of it, I actually pulled two cards with it. So his star looks like it's fading, and new energy information things are going to be coming out about things that he's done. going into it, the same thing. I got the
The Hierophant.
the government things, and the hammer is coming down. It's going to knock him upside the head because of so many things he's been involved with. More things are going to come to the surface that have been hidden so far.
And you got the High Priestess too. Okay, so we got almost all the same exact cards here. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So underneath of it all, these are going to be sleepless nights. He's going to feel cords in the back. He's going to have to be thinking about moving on, and stinky fish is
Stinky fish. Wow. Stinky fish. Messages kind of coming out of the dark. My goodness. I'll just do a little click up here. So we've got Connie B saying hello to everyone. Similar energy in my cards here. So look what I get for the first card. 7 of Swords. Yeah. This is him all over, trying to get away with it. He was hoping the conflict and the issue is in Ukraine and stuff would distract, and he has done a pretty good job on that.
Right.
But people lost loved ones, yeah? People lost loved ones. While people were losing their lives in hospital, they were literally partying. And one of the things that really stood out is the Queen sitting on her own at her husband's funeral, there in black, looking like this little bird, and they were partying massively on the night before with DJ run sets, vodka luge, and the whole shebang. Yeah. So, here he is. This in many ways represents Boris's whole kind of premiership and his whole career, just getting away with stuff. He's a well-known liar and scoundrel, basically. The obstacle position. Here we are, 6 of Cups. So here we are. He's got this sense of nostalgia now, kind of like, oh, goodness, I wish things were like they were before. Yeah. And also as well, it arriving in the obstacle position also shows that Boris also represents an old way of thinking, a nostalgic way of thinking, almost like I'm one of the nobles, I'm one of the elites. Do you know what I mean? These rules don't apply to me. And there's almost like, this can also represent almost, it's not only nostalgia, but in the shadow it can be childishness.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? He's very much acted like a child. He's tried to get away with things as a child would try and get away with things. Do you see? In these very kind of clumsy and quite immature ways. He stood up, lied in Parliament, said there were no parties. I didn't know about any parties. So when people were like, so when they were pouring the drinks and the cocktails, did you not realize that you were entering a party situation? It's just ridiculous. So the next card here, we get the 6 of Pentacles, which is not only about talking about, charity, exchanging money, but this also as well in many ways describes how the tables have turned for Boris. Because on one hand, this can be the generous merchant, but on the other hand, this could be the person having to receive charity. In light of these results, I think this is how the Tories are feeling now, yeah? That they're beggars on the doorstep. They've been saying for ages, Partygate has ruined their campaigning. This is going to affect Boris's relationships. Could it even affect his marriage? 2 of Cups. Who knows? But I think in light of him not being this Teflon guy anymore and him officially being a loser, those that were holding on, waiting to see the results, now know the outcome. So this also shows everyone else and their changing feelings in terms of how they feel about Boris as well. Outcome here, Wands, 5 of Wands, fighting, conflict. This is the Tory party right now. When you've had losses like this, when there's 700 seats up for grab and you lose 500, you've got problems. Yeah. Got big problems. And then randomly I just looked at the bottom of the deck and look, heartache. So he may struggle along to the next election, but what's the point? They are guaranteed to lose now, basically. They're guaranteed to lose. So anything else you want to add to that, ladies, before we check in with Shakespeare?
Is this unprecedented to have that many losses? I mean, because it seems so extreme. to have that many.
It's rare. I mean,
Okay.
it's like with most democracies, the incumbent, you know, people get a bit tired of them, you know, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But on this kind of scale, no, it doesn't happen
Right.
that often. And
Okay.
when they lost Wandsworth and stuff, I mean, this is a once in 40-year event. You know, this is really something. If you can imagine, like, if you think of like I can't think of a very a conservative state that you would never expect to go blue or something like that. Imagine a state like that and it turning, and you just know that it's like that bellwether. It's like that kind of thing. Right, shall we see what Shakespeare has to say about Boris? So, okay, Lady G, this time I'm going to nominate you. So you tell me where to stop, and let's see what the Bard has to say about Boris. All right.
Okay, now.
Oh, all right. Says here, thou art a wickedness. It says, thou art a wickedness. And this is so interesting because on the other page, this is what I got for Putin. So it says, thou art a most noble coward, an infinite and endless liar, an hourly promise breaker, the owner of not one good quality. Wow.
Yikes.
All's well that ends well. But for Boris, look at that.
Ooh.
That's pretty stinging, isn't it?
Yeah. Ouch.
Ouch.
Wow.
Absolutely ouch. So let's see. So we've done Boris, we've done Duck L'Orange.
Somebody on here that was talking about Duck L'Orange, you know, wanting to shoot the protesters, and they said you can't shoot them. Well, can't we just shoot them in the leg? Can't just shoot them in the leg. Don't kill them, just shoot them in the leg. And then the other one, he wanted to send missiles and destroy drug labs in Mexico, and they'll never know who did it.
Wow. It's just oh my goodness, it's just crazy, absolutely crazy. All right, so the next one I wanted to talk about is Madison Cawthorn.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you familiar with him, Dianne? He's the Republican.
No. Which one is he?
He uses a wheelchair, and he's very young, and he's been making a lot of noise, coming out with controversial statements and stuff like that. And he was the one that actually revealed that he was invited to certain saucy parties, shall we say, on the Republican side. Yeah.
Okay.
Where he said he was invited to certain parties and certain drug taking and certain stuff like that would happen on the Republican side. Yeah. So it was a bit of a scandal.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit of a scandal what he came out with. But he's also been implicated. He apparently had a loaded handgun at Charlotte Douglas Airport at one point. He's possibly being investigated for insider trading in regards to cryptocurrencies and insider knowledge. And there's even been some homoerotic dry humping videos that have turned up from his college.
He's got it all.
Yeah, from his college frat days. And that's before and that was after all of the bra strap stuff came out. Did you see where he was carousing with some women and he was wearing lingerie and stuff like that? And this is someone, yeah. You got to check this out.
He's interesting. Okay.
Madison Cawthorn, yeah. So he was this darling of the GOP, and it's all kind of gone a bit sour because he's kind of said a bit too much, especially with like the parties and stuff like that. So I wanted us to look at what his future, and we can see what Shakespeare has to say about him. Yeah. And let's see, while you guys are shuffling, let's look through the comments. So thank you, Mercury Angel, Christina. Yeah, here we are. So Mercury angel saying, so sick of Trump and his family. Nothing happens to them, no matter what they say, what they do. Nothing. We'll have to see. It's part of a cultural thing, I would say. There is that reluctance, it seems, particularly in the States, to punish people that do, you know, who have money and stuff like that. But this, I think Trump has got so much dirt on so many people.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so his cards are just ominous. Lord. So we start off with the moon. You know, first of all, yeah, I think he's doing things in the dark, sort of, you know, interesting things, but also too disillusioned and not grounded, not down to earth. His obstacle is, you know, 9 of Wands. He doesn't have the ability to persevere. He's only going to get so far because he doesn't have the fortitude. There is some more truth coming out, Ace of Swords. So there is even more to learn, which is interesting, given everything that we know now. Okay. 10 of Wands, feeling burdened and oppressed, with ending up with 3 of Swords. Heartache, heartbreak. He's not happy with the outcome. So, yeah, I think he's sort of overstayed his welcome.
Very interesting. And Lady G, what do you have?
In the center of it, I have reevaluating things. You know, the seeds planted are starting to harvest, and it's not looking good. Going into it, the wheel is turning. The challenge is the heavy-duty sword is coming out. Hopes and fears is about getting more financial aid, but I don't think it's coming. And the outcome is some woman is going to put out something that's not going to look good for him. Underneath of it all, he's trying to hang on, but the tower moment is coming. As usual, trying to manipulate stuff, but he's going to have to take a powder and look for something new energy somewhere.
Wow. Yeah, I think it seems like the knives are sort of like out for him.
Right.
What I've got now, this is quite interesting. So he gets the Ace of Wands as the first card, but in some ways, I feel like this were the hopes and dreams of the ambitions that the GOP had for him. You know, because he's a handsome guy and he's got a bit of charisma and all that kind of stuff. And of course, there's that dynamic element as well, because he is a wheelchair user, but he's never been. There's never been any air of victimhood or anything like that. It's been, if anything, it's been a bold asset, and I think it's actually defended him from a lot of critique. So I think this, in some ways, this was the hopes where the GOP were like, yes, this is a fresh new start. We've got this young energy, etc. However, look at the obstacle position. It's the 5 of Wands. So we have the Ace of Wands, and now we've got the 5 of Wands, where he has caused too much of a stir. When he came out with his like, oh, and by the way, they were inviting me to parties where all sorts of drug taking and sexy things were going on and blah, blah, blah. I think the GOP were like, what did he say? Oh, my God. Yeah, because he's revealed everything. Yeah. So if we look here, the next card that comes out is the King of Swords. Now, this isn't really his energy. I think these are the patriarchs that are in power who have taken a very dim view of what they thought was their new bright boy. Yeah, because so they're like, we're not sure about this guy. Yeah. The next card, look, it's the 4 of Cups, not liking the options on the table. So if we put these two together, the King of Swords energy is not liking this Madison Cawthorn and this stuff that's been coming out. However, I think they have invested money in him, Ace of Pentacles, and I think he has been quite popular with the base. So I think they're in kind of like with a Marjorie Taylor Greene situation. I think they're in a quandary because he's sort of photogenic. He can sort of bring the money in, but Marjorie Taylor Greene hasn't exposed their behaviors in the way that this guy has. And then, of course, there's this stuff that's coming up, you know, because, you know, the GOP are uncomfortable with certain, I mean, they're happy with parties, but they don't like people appearing in public wearing bra straps, you know, various being kooky, yeah, and frolicking and dry humping and stuff like that. That's not really, that's not really. So he's causing them a few problems, but let's see what the Bard has to say about Madison Cawthorn. Yeah, so this will be the first one. So Dianne, I'm going to flick again. You tell me when to stop, and let's see what the Bard has to say about Madison Cawthorn.
Stop.
Oh my gosh, no, I can't read that one again. It came up for this. Let's ask me again, because same thing kept coming up, and I'm like, we can't keep having that one.
Stop.
All right. Oh, this is really okay. It says here, thou whoreson, senseless villain. Yeah. Now, a whoreson, if you slow it down, you will know what that means. It means the son of a you know what. Yeah. And then on the next page it says here, your wit will not so soon out as another man's will. 'Tis strong wedged up in a blockhead.
Love it.
So the first one was the Comedy of Errors. How funny is that? And the second one was from Coriolanus. So there you are, blockhead. I think that kind of says quite a lot. And they have, and quite a lot of people have described Cawthorn, as a bit of a blockhead. And look at that, the Four of Cups fell out again. So not liking the options, but I think it also says the same for him. I don't think he likes how he's being treated by the GOP, and I think it's become an uneasy fit. So there's that. All right, let me just read out a few acknowledgements and stuff like that. Someone's saying 14 school days left. What does that mean? 14 school days left. Connie B, stay cool. Does anyone know what that means? What do you mean, Connie? Write to us.
Maybe for college?
Something like that.
College.
Oh, thank you for that donation. That's just come in. That's Mirel. Thank you. Electrostorm we have here. What's this? What's Electrostorm saying? I think this is a Trump thing. I think he will die before he can serve time in jail. Talking about Duck L'Orange, I think there, isn't it? I think there's some truth to that. Can you imagine, like, he wouldn't, like, him just being in the orange jumpsuit enough would be, can you imagine, like, he likes to have golden toilet seats, and he's going to have to deal with, he won't even be able to get his McDonald's that he usually likes to eat, you know, because that's a treat. That's a death row dinner for most people.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I think federal prison is pretty lax for white collar crimes. They get to go out and play tennis and, you know,
Really?
Hard time, yeah.
Oh my God! I'm just imagining, Trump trying to play golf in the basketball area. You know, kind of hitting a golf ball against some kind of brick wall. You know, repeatedly. Can you? He just can't do it. I just can't imagine. Imagine him ever being do that. What's this here? Marianne, I've got another thing here. Marianne D, who will be the first from Congress to be given prison time for participating in the coup? Love your show, Hogarth. thank you. That's a good question. But we would have to have a name specifically, I think.
Yeah.
It's a bit broad. Maybe we can squeeze that in. Okay, are we ready for the next question?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now this is a biggie. So here, I forgot that we've got two more, so we've got enough time. So this is coming from Light Vocation. How will the SCOTUS leak regarding Roe versus Wade influence the midterm election. So we're all talking about that, aren't we? But let's see, how will it affect the midterms?
Good question.
Good question. Light vocation, good question. Midterms effects. How the Roe versus Wade. I mean, first of all, it's just outrageous. I can't even believe that.
That whole thing.
Oh, I've done something wrong here. Don't you just think it's just absolutely outrageous? It's words. It's hard to even find words. Versus Wade. Roe versus Wade. Elections. Midterms.
So because I believe it's going to help the Democrats, I'm kind of reading it from the point of the Democrats. I think it's going to be actually a positive thing for them. So I get the star card, wishes and dreams coming true. So I think for them, it's a positive thing. The obstacle being the hanged man, it's, I don't know, maybe some people won't be able to make up their minds, I guess, but at the end of the day, I still think it's going to be beneficial for them. And then you get, like the Lover's card, bringing people together. I think it's going to get people out voting that didn't vote before. It's going to get young women out voting. It's going to get younger people, this next generation. It's, I think it's going to be beneficial. And the Wheel of Fortune, this is a turning point. And this is where we start to come into our karmic destiny and our fate. So I think for the Democrats, it's a positive thing.
Yeah, that would seem. I mean, I just hope that they can really capitalize on this and really just go for the jugular. I just hope they can really, really go for it. What do you have, Lady G? What have you got?
Well, in the center of it all, we have the abuse of power they're trying to do. Going into it, this is a burden for people. The challenge is, them trying to replace it everywhere. Hopes and fears are about the strong arm and women just uprising of women, and could also be for theirs the hope to be able to cut down women as well. But the outcome is, I think that there's going to be a lot more people giving to try to counteract this. Underneath of it, we have this is something being juggled. We're taking hits on it. Women are going to rise up, bring women together, and we're looking at the exchange that's happening with that.
Right.
That's good, and that's really hopeful, because I mean, not that we obviously as YouTubers we're not trying to incite insurrection here and stuff like that, but I think what we can comfortably say is that if you're a woman, or if you're a person that supports women in any shape or form, if this thing gets even close to actually passing where they're going to strike this down, this really is the protest where this is really the time to fight on this one, because if this goes the wrong way, it's the Handmaid's Tale. It's as simple as that. And really, I think the GOP should be called like Christo Taliban now, because it's just Taliban with a crucifix, and with a crucifix upside down. Do you know what I mean? It's almost inconceivable that we are having this conversation.
Right. Well, one of the really weirdest things I saw recently was Susan B. Anthony group. She was for women's rights, and they're for this anti-abortion thing. I'm
not surprised.
I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Susan B. Anthony is over there rolling around in her grave listening to that.
Wow.
But I think they're the same ilk as like the Daughters of the American Revolution, where they can, I mean, as a New Englander, you know, I was invited to join and I politely declined because my family did fight in the American Revolution. But if given the choice, they have a tendency to be quite conservative.
Yeah, this is beyond conservative. This is uber right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Susan B. Anthony writes for women to the uber right in her name is just like,
right.
That's really crazy.
Yeah, it's just so strange, and particularly from the outside looking in, and just even though I understand the energies from an astrological perspective and stuff like that, but still seeing it play out. And I did an eclipse video recently, and another video sort of following on to that, and saying how where the eclipses are falling in Aries, sidereal Aries, and sidereal Libra. But where the eclipses are falling, which is things coming out of the dark, is in this section of Aries called Bharani. And guess what? Bharani is all about the female reproductive system. Can you believe it? And the eclipses are happening in that part of the sky over the next 18 months. The sun represents government, decisions, leadership roles, and even laws and regulations. And on the first eclipse that happens, we get the leaking, something coming out of the shadows in regards to women's reproductive rights. It's just, sometimes it's just astonishing, but these are the cards that I got in regards to the elections and stuff like that. So I think I'm getting more of a GOP kind of thing here. So if we look here, I've got the 9 of Cups, which of course we know is what? The smug merchant. So this is literally, it's almost like when you look at the character here, these are almost the people that you imagine that are trying to put an end to Roe versus Wade. Do you know? That's how I interpret it. Forgive me, guys, if you think that's a bit wrong, but that's how I interpret it. But look, the obstacle, wanting to move to smooth the water. So if we think in regards of Roe versus Wade, what they're trying to do, they're trying to sink that boat, aren't they? Because the funny thing with this thing with the swords in, if you pull the swords out, the boat sinks. And it's almost like they want to sink. They want to sink Roe versus Wade. This is how I see it. It's coming the obstacle. Certain smug merchants want to sink Roe versus Wade. There is an element here as well. We see, look, the King of Wands card here. So this is also talking about business, entrepreneurs, stuff like that. But again, it's a male card. I don't think it's women necessarily trying to end Roe versus Wade. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So there's an issue. There's an issue here, particularly when we look at the next card here is the 10 of Pentacles, which deals with what? Big money. But not only that, it's the family institution, legacies and stuff like that. So to me, it's almost like there is establishment patriarchy, which has got a lot of money behind it, that is trying to sink this Roe versus Wade. It's almost like we want women to be barefoot and pregnant, you know, just like in the, you know, so I can sit with my feet up and she's going to be there scrubbing in the kitchen and all that kind of stuff. Look at his posture. But then look, the outcome here is the Page of Wands. So again, pages are all about what? Messages. The Page of Wands is the orator in particular. So I think there could be more leaks. And I think hopefully more and more people are going to speak up about this, you know, this crazy, it's just crazy. It's just completely crazy. I just, who would have thought we would be having these type of conversations?
Right.
It's madness. Absolutely madness.
No, this is just the beginning of it. I did a reading today and it was so toxic. You know, they want to, you know, go as far as limiting interracial marriages, you know, same-sex marriages. I mean, just straight down the line, back. And keeping people under employed, keeping them in the fields working, and I mean, just that whole
scary,
yeah,
terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying. They've got their toe in the door now, And this is
Absolutely.
the start of what they want to do.
Yeah, they want to basically, they just want to turn it back to how it was in the South, where certain people of a certain extraction were working in the fields.
Exactly.
The wife
You're
was,
right.
the wife was barefoot and pregnant, and certain people of another certain extraction got to sit down, put their feet up, and be like, "I'm the boss, I'm the king," even though I've got, little talent or merit to actually back that up. And as we see, isn't it interesting, those male cards that were sort of showing up, when I was putting there, so we can see it's part of patriarchy that is wanting to do this. No woman, no sane woman would ever be voting for this. You really have to be on that crackpot spectrum, and we know there are a few of them.
There's some,
there are.
There are. I mean, they're far right and they're gung ho, and that's the thing. We can't get too comfortable with things, like we have to remember that we still have to get out and vote and everything, because these people that are so far to the right, they do vote.
Yeah, they do.
And so we can't become too complacent with anything. I don't think we should take too much for granted right now, because these people are all fired up.
Yeah. And they are deep into the cray. And if we look here, so Sharon Donnelly was saying, look, here we go, Hogarth, former defense secretary questioning Trump's mental fitness to serve on MSNBC. So do you see this could also be that setting that up? And I know that
I was going to say that's a good thing for 45, because as a dementia practitioner, I can tell you it's very controversial whether you prosecute somebody who has dementia. And that you have dementia 10 years before you show signs.
Mm-hmm.
So he can go back 10 years, right? I've seen this play out in court.
Wow.
So this would be, disgusting, but a wonderful defense for him. And so this may not just be an accident that this is happening.
Yeah. And I think, because the thing is, everyone calls Trump stupid, and I can understand why to a certain extent. But as you know, I've always maintained my stance. I said he has reptilian intelligence.
Exactly.
He is smart enough to know all I need to do is keep banging my drum about it's all been stolen, and I can get to look like the old guy who's lost his wits, and I'm enfeebled and I'm not, but because all of a sudden that is a massive get out of jail free card, because he's got a deep instinct about how to get away with stuff. He is the most slippery reptile out there. He's a street fighter and a hustler and a scam artist extraordinaire. A reality TV star who knows how to set all these things up. So as much as people may enjoy taking digs at Trump because of his lack of academic achievements, but when it comes to the essence, that's why I said he's
survival.
The dragon.
Yes, snake out.
Yeah. He has survival skills, and he just gave a speech the other day I saw, and he made all sorts of errors, calling he was backing the wrong candidate.
Yeah,
literally
names.
I mean, he meshed the names all together, and it's okay. But is that an accident?
No.
That's when I saw that, I was like, aha, okay.
He's getting the arguments ready. He's getting the arguments ready.
Exactly.
He's getting the arguments ready. Because what we need to remember with this guy, let's not forget, he was a showman first. Mm-hmm. And reality TV is not reality TV. I've actually participated in reality TV in terms of art shows and stuff like that. It's staged. It's all staged. It's choreographed. It's theater. Right. And he understands theater. And because he's absolutely shameless and he doesn't care as long as he's survived, he's like, they can let them think I'm a pumpkin. I don't care as long as I avoid that prison food. Yeah.
Exactly. And he can drag it out because of this.
Yeah, he can drag it out. Could just drag it out until he just reaches the point where it's time for him to transition, and then it's all over. So I think we should squeeze in one more. And of course, we do have to talk about Putin. Yeah. How can we not? So now this is a story that has just broken in UK media. So this has been the Daily Mirror, which is just a UK tabloid. So Putin plans to hand over powers as career rumors and signs of ill health grow. So no, cancer rumors. Now, isn't it interesting? As you guys, those of you watching, we've been saying for a long time on HoDiGa, haven't we? Putin is not well. Do you remember we said there's something wrong with the mind and something to do with cancer, and it is bearing out to be true.
Yep.
So whenever we pulled, so I put here, will Putin's health issues end his presidency? Let's look into that as part of the last question. Putin's, because really and truly it's only going to be that's basically going to take him out. Not that we're necessarily calling for you know what, but do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
This is someone that we don't need on the world stage right now. You know, it's just diabolical, and he's just beyond. Will Putin's health issues end his presidency? Putin's health issues end his presidency. Putin's issues end his presidency.
So my cards are interesting. I would say, yeah, his presidency is ending, but is it going to be his health? That I can't. I won't commit to that yet. So 3 of Cups reversed, that represents him. So he is not in a good place. This is not a man who's having a good time. He's not happy. I mean, I've said for a long time, you know, I felt like he had Parkinson's and the dementia that goes with it, you know, because in the beginning parts of it, you just make bad decisions. It's not like you're wandering the streets lost. No, you make poor decisions and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's where I see, and I was sort of laughing. So here's the obstacle. Here's our little Russian friend.
Yeah.
So he's trying to get away with it. He's trying. You know, he's stealing 5 of those 7 swords. He's trying his best. But there's lots of truth for us to learn, Ace of Swords. So there's more truth to come out. But here's the thing. So I get the King of Wands followed by the 5 of Pentacles. So he loses his kingship. But this card can imply because of health. It definitely can. 5 of Pentacles can imply that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say either way, he's definitely losing his presidency, his kingship, so to speak. You know, but I think there's more for us to learn still. His journey's not over. No, still more to go. Lady G, what do you have for us?
Well, I have sort of, he's kind of hung up and clouds are coming. You know, it's not looking good. I'd say it has to do possibly with his health, you know, is kind of hanging there and it's not really great. In the center of things are the action that's going to happen. Going into it, things are being worked on. The challenge is, I think he's trying to hold things at bay, okay, not let it in. Hopes and fears, this is moving rapidly. And the outcome, I think it has to do with the Russian people, the economy, the oligarchs, and all of that may take him down before his health.
Right. There's so many factors.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough to narrow down which one is going to be the first one that hits him.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
There, you can hear Max over here snoring. He is.
Is that what I hear? No, that's precious.
Oh, that's sweet, isn't it?
You know,
That's sweet. I thought you had a bullfrog that was outside of the door, but you know,
I thought it was Dan.
relax.
I thought Dan was just snoring on the couch. But
well, I mean, he's been sort of like fidgeting about a bit as well. It's so funny. But look at this. So look what I get. Oh, look at that. Oh, we've got the hour has arrived, so I'll be very quick. So look, I get the Empress, which is what? My card for Russia. This is my Russia card. So look, those indicators there. So here we are. In a way, this is Putin, yeah, who's, you know, trying to do all this whole Mother Russia thing, you know, but really there's really no vision behind it, because when we look, what's the obstacle? Oh, 5 of Pentacles.
oh, so we both got it.
And we know that this can not only mean poverty, but also what? Poor health.
Yep.
So if you think this is Putin's intention,
Right.
Mother Russia, bringing it all back, getting all of her poisonous powers back or what have you, but the obstacle is the 5 of Pentacles. Not looking good. Next card that comes up, look, 6 of Cups, wanting to go back to the past, trying to take back Russia to some kind of imperial might that he perceives it used to be. This can also be Catherine the Great, one of Putin's idols. Yeah. But when we look, the next card, he's fretful. He's full of worry and angst because he's really not sure he can pull this off because what? Of his health issues.
Right.
And then when we look at the outcome card, he is wanting to be the 9 of Cups. But could this be Russia perhaps maybe doing better without him?
Sure.
Maybe this is what he's actually worried about, that without him, they may succeed and prosper and actually maybe even go over more to be like the West. So I thought that might be quite interesting. And the energy between the cards, fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
Well, believe it or not,
The combination
hour has gone.
the health and the economy and the whole thing is
Everything. It's like
everything crashing down. You know?
everything's crashing down. I was just going to say that everything is crashing down all at once. Talk about a tower moment.
Yeah, it really is. And between all of our cards, it's that same energy. It's picking the same cards, getting the 2 cards that always come up for Russia. But, you know, it being that angst. And he knows, because the thing is, in many ways, this is the kind of the mercy of, or the ultimate lesson of what ill health teaches everyone, whether you're rich, poor, male, female, whatever persuasion, it doesn't matter. Health is wealth. And when there are things that are going on, it is the leveler for everyone, from queens to popes to paupers, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
And Putin's health, you know, cancer, you know, it has to be dealt with, you know, and there's no guarantees, you know, and he's probably tried to hold off all this stuff for as long as possible. You know, who knows what happens, but there's always these people that try and take over the world and they forget that they are mortal, that they have bodies. And sometimes the universe says no.
Right.
And I think it's those economics plus the health that ultimately is Putin's downfall. Because even if the operation goes well, if someone doesn't add a little bit too much anesthetic, let's put it that way, he's going to be out of action for weeks anyway, particularly if it's bowel cancer. You know, they could be removing a lot of intestine, a lot of digestive. You know, you don't just spring out of bed and be like, I'm ruling the world again. He could be out for at least 3 months. And that's more than enough time for an accident to happen, or, you know, things to change, someone else being in charge. So I think it's looking like the end for him. He certainly won't be back to his same powers, even if he wants to. So look, we've just gone over the hour now. So thank you everyone for joining us. That went, of course, in a flash as always. Thank you for the donations, Sharon Donnelly, Deborah Murphy, Gertrude H. If you've got any other questions for us, I'll put them in the show for next week. But I don't want the show to go on for too long. So Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Lady G, for joining us where you are. And, of course, Dianne, where you are, sharing gifts and talents. And we see you guys next week. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. See you next week, guys. Yeah, the hour went so quick. Oh, my goodness.
It did.